We are following breaking news. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says the U.S. is launching Phase 2 of the 20-point peace plan to end the conflict in Gaza. Phase 2 would involve disarming Hamas and rebuilding the area destroyed by the war. Senior national policy reporter Ann Flaherty, foreign correspondent Soufi Burridge are both here with the details on that. Hi to you both. So, Ann, what's the latest from Steve Witkoff on this?
So, Diane, they are suggesting this is a major movement, that now that this humanitarian phase, they've increased the number of humanitarian aid that's gone into Gaza. He says that they're now moving into Phase 2. Witkoff says that on behalf of the president, we're moving from ceasefire to demilitarization, he says in a post on X. He says technocratic governance and reconstruction. He goes on to spell out that a new Palestinian administration will be put in place. He calls it the National Committee of the Administration of Gaza. This will be 15 Palestinian leaders, is what we expect, tasked with the monumental challenge of governing Gaza. The committee would be responsible for the day-to-day management of the Strip, including sanitation, infrastructure, and education. So clearly a major announcement here from the president's special envoy to the Middle East. I would expect that U.S. officials are going to be also naming that there will be a UN special coordinator for Middle East peace, and declaring this as moving forward as part of the president's 20-point peace plan. Diane.
And Tom, have they completed all the goals of Phase 1 of the peace plan?
Well, they haven't returned. Well, Hamas has not returned, or they haven't managed to find one body of one deceased hostage. So they returned, I think, 27 out of 28 bodies of dead hostages. Obviously, all the living hostages were released almost immediately after the Trump peace plan was actually announced. I think what's interesting here, I think, is, firstly, that Palestinians are going to be part of this technocratic type administration, which is going to, in theory, run Gaza and also be part of this process of demilitarization. And another way of couching the term demilitarization is to talk about the disarmament of Hamas. And most analysts I've spoken to over the last few months about this are adamant that, yes, if you're going to have the biggest chance of actually Hamas handing over all of its weaponry, the full demilitarization of the Strip, then Palestinians have to be involved in that process, because Hamas's doctrine would be, mean that it would be very, very unlikely that they would hand over their weaponry to Israel. They might do it to a Palestinian type body. The other thing I think that stands out for me is what is not in the document we've seen, or the reportable information we're getting from officials or from Steve Witkoff's tweet, and that is mention of this international stabilization force. I think I'm right in thinking that Phase 2 was supposed to include an international stabilization force as well. That would be an international force on the ground in Gaza to basically help with security across the Strip. But there have been points of difference between the US administration of Donald Trump and the Israeli government on particularly the involvement or not of the Turkish government and to Turkish security forces. The Trump administration very closely aligned with the Turkish government. Israel and Turkey are really nothing short of enemies.
All right, Ann Flaherty, Soufi Burridge, thank you both.